Hi guys, I'm Liz and this is Sisters Hub. In this page, we talk about everything that would make life easy for the woman. We talk about things that impact the life of a woman. We also give updates of what will make the life of a woman softer because we belong to the Soft Life gang. Okay? And so if you're here for the first time, bienvenue. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so to encourage us. Today, we are going to be looking at a topic that was motivated by a friend's question. A dear friend of mine got a good opportunity, a huge one, a career transition, to come work in France. Right? And so she contacted me, asked questions as to what she should expect. She asked if it's a good move. She's trying to make informed decision, and that's smart. Because when you are relocating as an individual on your own, on your own, it's not a big deal. Your level of risk intake can be considerably high. But when you're relocating with a family, you're relocating with your children, there's a lot that you have to put into consideration, especially if your children are of school age. You have to consider a lot of things. Are they going to be drawn backward or they are going to move forward? Okay. In her own case, I drafted out some points, and after sharing these points with her, she considered it helpful, and it helped her to, adjust herself very well and make, her decision also. There are many more moms out there that could be having the same phobia. Maybe they've gotten bigger opportunities of relocating, but because they have children, they are wondering, if it's really worth it. And also to help those who are very spontaneous in taking decisions to know that, it's always good to make informed decisions, especially when you have underaged children or you have children of schooling age. I'll give an example. I have a friend that was also posted here with her husband to work, and she came with 2 kids. These 2 children she came with, one was about 4.5 years old, while the other one was about 2.5. Okay, and so the one that was about 4.5 years old, I think about 5 years old or thereabouts. You know how it is in Africa, when you have a good job and your husband also has a good job, even some people that are stay-home parents, okay, they have a stay-in nanny, that takes care of everything, virtually everything. And so this boy got used to the nanny taking care of him, wearing him his shoes, lacing his shoes, and putting on his trousers, dressing him up generally before going to school every morning. Mind you, he's 5 years old. So when he came over, when they were posted here, this mom had her own shock. Her first shock was when the kids started school. The 5-year-old started feeling really, really bad, which is normal. When you change environment, there's going to be some kind of mood swing for the children. Some of them, a lot will be going on through their mind, But in the case of her child, it was something that was preventable, in the sense that she felt that the teachers were rude and too forward, And she called me and she said, Elizabeth, how you guys coping here? I mean, I don't know how those people, I don't know. I took my child to school for the past 2 weeks now. There's a particular teacher that has been, my son's teacher has really been giving me attitude and giving my child attitude, and my son is really not excited going to school. I asked what exactly was the problem, and she explained to me that, can you imagine that my son came back not wearing his jacket, meanwhile he had a jacket on, before going to school, and you know how so when he was coming back and the weather was not really friendly at all, this boy was coming back from school, not wearing his jacket, his shoes were not well laced. I said, how old is he? He said, he's barely 5. I was like, oh yeah, quite young. But then I now remembered something. I said, I have to explain something to you. I had, she was like, oh yes, please, that's why I called. Take it very personal. Don't take it personal. The issue is cultural difference. In Africa, where you're coming from, maybe you have someone or you yourself, you do everything for your child. But in France or in Europe, when a child is of schooling age, it's assumed that that child has picked up some autonomy spirit. You know, the child is independent a bit, like being able to go into the toilet, to use the toilet, be able to lace his shoe. In fact, I would suggest you stop wearing your child shoes that have laces, so that when he gets to school, he will not be struggling with tying the shoes, because he's going to have a moment when he would remove the shoes, because they have other activities, extracurricular activities in school, like they have reading moment, they have meditation time, and during those times they don't wear shoes in. They are expected to all remove their shoes, keep it somewhere, walk in with their socks, and when they come out, the teacher is not there to wear. In a classroom you might have up to 25 students. Imagine a teacher, just one teacher, or with the assistant teacher, having to wear every child their shoe one by one. It's not going to be doable. You understand? It's not possible. So this is the reason why they expect parents to at least prepare their children on that level from home. So I suggested she gets this kind of shoes that, you know, kind of uses scotch. You know, you just wear it. The children just wear it and, you know, lap the whatever on top of it, but not necessarily the lacy one that you have to come and tie the lace, untie the lace. No, make life easier. Look for the simplest of all, you know, for your kids when they are going to school, things that they can manage by themselves. I gave my kids, for example, I told her that as of the time she was talking, her kid was 5 years old and he couldn't lace his shoe. He couldn't wear his shoe by himself. Mine was, my kids were 3 years old and they just got into school, and the session where they were was considered the pre-nursery. You understand? Kids who just came out of the creche, you know, they start with, you know, they put them in the same class. So imagine kids like mine being in the same class with a child of 5 years old, and my own kids can wear their own shoes, but your child that is 5 years old cannot wear. You understand? Now, that's it. The teachers will not run towards him to help him. The first person that they would think of will be the younger kids that just, you know, came out of the creche system or that just came to school. So, and second thing also, concerning the jacket own, I told her that's another one too. Your child should know how to wear their jackets. Mine, I had to teach them how to put it on the ground, you know, and squeeze their hand and flip it backwards. And that's it, they're wearing their jacket, because you will not be there with them all the time. They are going to be removing their jacket. Once they get to school, the first thing they do is to remove their jacket, hang it on their own, on each person's individual hanger. You understand? And hang their school bags. And when they are rushing out to play outside during lunchtime or break period, they are also expected to put on their jackets again. And that one, teachers will not help. You have to prepare your child to do so. Your child should be able to say, oh, okay, I want to put my things together. You understand? To an extent. Nobody's expecting the child to become an adult overnight. But we are saying these things are necessary things that you will come and you meet other children, other parents have already taught. They've already prepared their children ahead for that. And so for you coming from Africa, from a position where you do everything for your child, or the nanny does everything for the child, you're going to have that. They're going to give you attitude if your child shows up in school not knowing those basic things, not knowing how to do the basic things. Okay, then that's by the way. That's also that also can have a negative impact on your child, because your child came into school feeling he's okay, he knows his left and right, and there he is. They are looking at him like, you mean you can't tie up? You mean you can't wear your shoe? You mean you can't wear your jacket? You know, once you speak that way to a child, you don't mean to be rude, but it's just a simple question. But that child might go home feeling shy, and you know that can also affect the child's confidence. So prepare this, teach that child, you know, how to do all those basic things, how to wear their shoes by themselves, how to wear their trousers, and also when you don't wear them dungarees, you know, going to school. For a system like this, the French system, they don't wear uniform, except for the children who attend private schools. Do you understand? When you are in a state school, government school, which is also an outstanding, which is the quality of education is good, you know, you don't wear uniform, you wear muftis, which means you have to shop enough. Each season you have to buy new clothing. And this clothing has to be in between casuals and tidy, you understand, because the way your child looks also depends how the child will be addressed. You don't come to the school looking all sapped up and your child is looking wacky, shaggy. It's not good, okay? And you also don't wear your child too expensive clothes so that the child would not stand out like completely off. And then at the end of the day, the child is going to play out there with the children, and then someone could come and stain your so-called designers and you will be sad. You know, just look for, be in between, you know, keep your child tidy, but at the same time, you know, tone it down a bit. Okay. All right. So we're going into the next point. Like I mentioned, language also, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but there's also going to be the language barrier. The fact that French is a French-speaking country, when you're coming from a place like Nigeria or any part of Africa where they speak English, even the ones coming from French-speaking countries also have these challenges, because they'll come here, they will notice that the accent is different. You understand? And also communication, they might have a little bit of setback. Communication-wise, they might know something and not want to say it because they are shy or they don't know how to pronounce it. It takes a little bit of time, but don't worry. See, young children have the ability to learn close to 6 different languages, okay? When they are still young, they are open to it, their brain can handle it. And it will take just maybe after 1 term. It depends on how fast the child is, you know, with picking languages. Within 6 months, the child should be able to say, you know, the child should be able to communicate very well with that language. But the first time, expect cultural shock. Okay. Now, another point that I would want to mention is cultural adjustment takes time. It takes time. Cultural adjustment in the sense that while going to school in Africa, especially in Nigeria, when kids are going to school, their parents prepare food for them. They have a food flags. Everything is loaded that they use to, you know, take care of themselves. Lunch in school. In France is completely different. It's not allowed. Your child is not allowed to step into the school environment with as tiny as even sweets or chewing gum. Whatever is edible, anything that is edible, they are not allowed to bring it from home into school. You understand? On their own, like to come and I'm going to eat it. No. Why? Because some other children might have like allergies and things like that, and they might just, being children that they can ask for your child to give them some, and your child will give to them, and it could be considered food poisoning to the child because it might not be good for the child's health. So in order to protect the whole system, children are not allowed to come to school with food, except for when the school instructs that the canteen is shut down and that they are not providing anything. Then they can now, on their own request, that parents should, while bringing the children to school on such a day, to bring a snack that their kid will eat during lunch. But if not, there is usually a canteen in school. And this also brings me back to where it is good for the child to be autonomy, to have independence, you know, because there the child is not going to be fed by anyone. Your child should be able to feed by himself or by herself, even if it's still a child that is in pre-nursery. Nobody is going to specially come and start hand spooning the child. She has to learn how to feed by herself and put her things in order. Okay, that's that one. Then your child should also know how to, you know, after eating, just kind of like tidy her things a little bit, but not completely clean up everything, because the canteen has people that work there that would help to clean, you know, clean up the mess. I don't know if you understand. Fine. So there's canteen. And another one is the fact that the school system is free, but it's not easy. It's free, but not easy. The canteen is, they share food, they try to give balanced diet, you understand? But it's not completely free. Hence, parents who cannot afford it, but it's actually all dependent on the parents' income. If the parents' income is completely low, you can decide not to be keeping your child in school for lunch. So, which means every day during break hour, you have to go to school, pick your kid, take your kid back home, feed your kid, and bring back your kid to school after 1 hour. And this sometimes can be stressful for parents who are working. So for parents who are working, they have no other option but to leave the children at the school, at the canteen, because doing the back and forth every day sometimes can be it is tedious. Imagine taking your child to school in the morning and, in the afternoon, you go back to school, pick your child, bring your child home, feed your child. Then after 1 hour, dress that child up again, take that child back to that school again, and then go back during closing hour by 5 to pick the child back home again. A lot of parents do it. I know of a lot of parents who are stay-home moms. They do that. I've never done that. I have triplets. Where will I start? So I just leave them there. Once I take them to school, I leave them there. We pay for the canteen. Okay? So this is how it is. Another point I would like to mention is the school placement might also surprise you. You know how in Africa, one just wakes up and then your friend tells you, oh, the best school is in the other places, like 30 minutes away from home, but it's nice. It's the top school, it's the reigning school. Everybody's going there now. It doesn't work like that in Europe in general. And especially even here in France, talking about France, it doesn't work that way, except if you intend to put your child in a private school. Placements of schools are decided by the district, your department, the department where you live. Based on the postcode of where you live, the address where you live will determine the school that it will put your child in. Like I said earlier, government schools are good schools here. They are considered good because they've been existing. They will always deploy their best hands as well. But if you want and if you can afford it, there are private schools that might be very far away from home. So you have to drive, say, 1 hour to go drop your child in that private school, and then drive another 1 hour or maybe 30 minutes to go get your school, depending on where the school is. There exist private schools. But apart from the private schools, there's no need for it, as a matter of fact, for some children of some certain level. Government schools are of standard qualities as well. But the placement is not dependent on your choice. They are the ones to place your child in that school, because they will consider the school that is nearest to home for easy accessibility for parents in case your child falls ill, in case anything happens, so you are able to rush down and pick your child and take the child to the hospital if need be. Also, so many other things they put into consideration is the fact that when the school is close by, the child does not need to stress so much to come to school. You understand? The child doesn't need to do like 1 hour ride to get to school and 1 hour ride to get back home. That's time that the child should use to recuperate, rest, and all those. So placement, school placement, that should be my third point, right? So you might as well, if you think that the school, you would want your child to attend a particular school, then you have to consider living in that area. You understand? Get a house, get an address in that area, live there, so that when you are applying for the child's school, when you tender all the necessary documents, they will assign that child to the school nearest to them. So that's your address. Okay? That's another thing you have to put into consideration. The next thing I would like to mention is the fact that there's a lot of help, okay? If you know where to look. If you don't ask, they might not necessarily come and start telling you, oh, this is what you look out for, this is what you look out for, this is no. No. For parents who's got little kids and you're working, you don't, if you apply on time, you might get nanny. If you do not get your nanny, you might get what they call, those parents that there are some people who use their homes as daycare, where you can keep a child that has not reached the age of going to school. You can keep the child there, and then you go to work and come back. You'll be paying them, you declare it, and then government has a way of compensating back, giving you back some part of the money you paid, you know, for your child to be taken care of. Okay, all dependent on your income though. Then another thing we have to look out for is also identity conflict. That child might begin to have, coming from an English background to a French community, your child might be having identity conflict. For some parents, the tendency of overdoing in order to make your children fit in is there. You know how we would think, oh, my child should look a certain way, she should look maybe better, look like this, wear designers, so that the child will be accepted. Actually, that is not enough for the child to be. In fact, that can even isolate the child more. The thing here is, when you get to the system, you have to, once you get to this environment, step into the school, look at what majority of the parents, how their children are dressed. Okay. When you look at how majority of the children are dressed, try to, now you can get quality things for your kids, but don't let your kids, you know, wear things that will make them completely, you know, different. Like, okay, something that is completely different. Like you just, you know, like where I wear abada, you know, and go for school runs, how I will stand out, you know, or I wear traditional wear, how you completely stand out in this community. That's the way it will feel like for the child. The child will stand out too much that this is supposed to be, for an adult to stand out is good. But for a child to stand out completely like that, sometimes it can affect the child's confidence. The child might feel like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Why am I alone? Why am I looking different? Do you understand? So just allow the child to gradually blend in, but build your child's confidence by yourself. Encourage your child. Keep speaking to that child. You have to keep telling your child that, listen, everything is going to be okay. You are still the best. You are still brilliant. It's just a new environment. You're going to fit in. You're going to even stand out in a better way. You're going to be good. You will be fine. We will get through it. Okay, so you do everything, and your child also might have the tendency of being drifted towards a particular group of children who might not be feeling too comfortable as well, maybe, and the child might think, oh, they don't like me. No, it's not liking. It's just that the other children might not really know how to handle your child also. So it's going to be a process. There's a process of adjustment that could happen, you know, not just necessarily because of the language barrier. This also will happen even if you take your child to a community where they speak the same language, English. Because the cultural mindset is not the same, there's still going to be a bit of conflict, identity conflicts. Even for the adults, you understand, you will notice that the way you were free to talk about a certain topic in Africa, you won't be free to talk about it here, because the day you do it, you will see somebody might just look at you like, really? Can you please repeat that again? Because it will be a shock for them. And so as time goes on, you will understand what topic is private and what topic is, you know, to be divulged with anyone out there. There are also things you have to look out for. There are free programs to have extramural, extracurriculum activities in school for children to engage them, you know. You have to know that in Europe, academics, education for them is not just reading like it is for us in Africa. Here, there are so many activities involved. They want the child to develop all-round social-wise intelligence, know how to read the road signs, know how to cross the road. They have moments when they'll be taking them to the park. You have to know how to dress the child according to the weather, according to the season, so that the child will not fall ill or be overdressed for the season. Okay, all those things are things you have to put into consideration. And also, there will be days when they will decide, oh, all the children are going to the library. That starts even while they're still at the creche. My kids started going to the creche at the age of 1, my triplets. They started going to the creche when they were 9 months old, right? And by the time they were 3 years old, By the time they were 2.5, the creche had already written me to say, oh, okay, all the kids will be taken to the library, to the Mediatek. Mediatek, they have the bibliothèque, which is a library, and they have the Mediatek, which is all about music and musical things. They talk to them about music. They show them musical, instruments and all those things. And I was wondering, what is my child at 2.5 years old going to learn? What is she going to do there? But you know what? She's not the only one. Every other child is going together with them. And so what I did was to volunteer myself as a volunteer parent to accompany them so I can see what they are going to do. Also, my reason was to be sure I monitor my kids, like hold their hands while we are going down there. Okay? And I noticed that I also did that up until the time the kids got to primary school. Whenever there's an outing, they are going to, say, the park, they are going to visit the park, they are going to the Mediatek or bibliothèque, like I said, the library, I volunteer whenever I'm free. I volunteer. Okay? So I can see what's going on there. But you might not have the time to volunteer. Know that these are things you should expect. You should expect them. They are going to be happening as often as possible. What else am I to talk about? Another point I want to mention is that you have to learn the system. Know what helps, what aids are available for you as a parent. Which one that which category do you fall into? Okay, like for example, when I had my triplets, I didn't have help. I was at home with their daddy, even though their grandma came, from their daddy's side. I still needed, I was lucky. I had someone who mentioned something to me. She told me, oh, you have to contact a particular group, write them and tell them you'll be needing help. So when I contacted them, government took care of it, and paid for 300 hours, which means that those people had to be coming to the house to help me. They are like nannies, but with some notions of auxiliary nursing in them, So they are a mixture of auxiliary nurses and nannies. So they come, each day they were offering me 4 hours. They will come by 9 in the morning and leave, say, around 1 o'clock. Okay, they come, assist me with the feeding bottles, help me if there are things that I have to do, if I have to do some administrative things, they will take care of the kids while I'm doing it. So, but if I did not request for it, it's not that natural. They will not bring it to you. The French system doesn't really, they might be generous in some areas, but they are generous in things that you are aware of. If you don't know about it, you might as well go through the process without anybody telling you about it. So I got that offer because somebody told me about it and I requested for it. Now it's not just for those who have triplets. Even a mom who's going through challenges mentally, stress and all those things can also ask for it, and that will be also looked into. Also, to help you. Then another thing is the integration is a journey. You need to know. It's not an event. It's one thing to relocate today into a new environment, but the integration takes time. We are human, and the way you adapt into an environment is not the way the person that you're standing in front of will adapt to you. They take their time. They take their time to process the change. The French system does not jump into changes easily. They take their time to process it. They take their time. They take their time. As time goes on, you will see, you'll begin to fit in. You begin to fit in. Okay? Don't be ashamed to also show that you don't know something. Sometimes when you get to school, ask questions. Oh, how do they do this? Oh, how do they do this? Okay. All right, thank you. So how do I go about this? I don't understand the system. Please, can you explain this to me? Somebody will explain to you. Then also the parents teachers meeting. They have also associations in school, the parent teachers association, But apart from that, they also have like parent teachers meeting. It's not the type we do in Africa. whereby they will call all the parents together, sit them down and say, okay, your children, this child misbehaved, the other child did like this. That's on the first day of the school resumption. They can have it like each class will have the parents, all the parents meet together with the teachers, not to talk about their children's behavior, but to talk about what the school, the curriculum is going to be for that month. It's called the school pedagogic for that year. Okay, the teacher will introduce himself and tell you, oh, in my class, these are the number of people in my class, and this is how I'm going to be functioning, and this is how you can contact me in case there's need. Okay, but now apart from that, if there's anything halfway, maybe like 2 weeks into the school system or a month into the new class curriculum, each parent would have an appointment date given out to her or him for them to come to school and meet with your class, your child's class teacher, including your child. And then they will point out to you areas where you need to reinforce for your child to be to put more effort in, and areas they think your child is doing well, so that you will encourage that child more. And this is usually done in front of the child and the parent of that child, either the both parents or anyone that is available. And that's also an opportunity for you to ask questions. Ask them so many questions you want to ask related to your child and his behavior in the class, so that you'll be able to relate it back. Because one of the things I've noticed is that sometimes some children act wise at home. They are very independent and comfortable or confident at home, but in school they are the opposite. So it's always good to want to like ask, oh, how does my child behave in school? How does my child fit in? How does my child act or respond? Does he talk or does he do this? Those are the questions you can ask. They are not there to hypnotize you or to, impose ideas on you. Because if you don't ask those questions, you will not really know who your child is. So that's usually, one of the things you should expect. Another thing that I would like to mention, apart from that system of help and everything, that one you will find it really useful. There are so many help systems for that are very functional for parents, especially parents with kids. Okay, so many things. One of the major systems that helps parents with kids is called the CAF, C-A-F. Okay, it helps parents a lot. They will guide you. Parents that are even isolated, they are there. They will help them. Parents that are together and, taking care of the children, including parents who have adopted children. Do you understand? They have help, aids to help you through. Help the child with the canteen, help the child with vacation, guide you through on how to program for the children's vacation period. Then one other thing I want to mention, which is very important, in order not to make this video too long, one other thing that I would like us to highlight here is the fact that child nanny does not work. You know how they do it in Africa? You will see somebody would have in her house a girl of 12 years old as her nanny to take your children to school, bath your children, feed them, and take them to school, and that nanny will sit in the house. You try it in France, you'll be arrested. If you try it anywhere in Europe, you'll be arrested, because that child is considered minor, and that child should be in school and should not be placed under labor. So coming is either you're coming with an adult that would be your nanny, you understand, or you would have to learn a lot by yourself. You have to learn to do so many things. I had to learn how to braid. Mind you, I have 3 daughters that are triplets. I braid them myself. I had to learn to braid. You understand? I had to learn to do all those things. Listening to come. So that's it. So if you come with a child, whether it's your sister's child or a nephew or a niece that you decide to bring here and feel, okay, she will stay home and be helping me while my kids go to school, it's not going to work. A neighbor could just hear a sound or maybe see the child hanging on the balcony or in the compound, you understand, playing, and they hear the sound of a child that is at home when her mates are in school. For the first week, they might think, okay, maybe she's not, she's ill, she's just at home. But if it's a continuous thing, they will know that that child is not going to, that does not go to school. Before you know it, the police will come and knock on your door and ask you why the child is not registered in a school. You see? So very important to know that you have to be also, as a parent relocating abroad, you on your own, you have to learn how to do a lot of things by yourself, or you get yourself a matured nanny, which also can be very expensive sometimes, you know. So it will be good you learn how to do so many things. Okay, and then going to take your child from school. Also, you cannot leave your child in school for a longer period than expected, like forgetting your child in school while dozing off at home, sleeping or gisting or doing something else, and then you show up very late. And the teachers also have their own children they have to go home to attend to. So if they wait for you till so and so time, you did not show up, depend on the relationship you have with that teacher. The teacher might just wait a bit more. If she waits and waits till it's a certain time, they will put the child in the canteen where she'll eat. And if the canteen is closed, that means the child will not have anything to eat. And then it also means that if they wait a bit longer, they will hand over the child to the police. You will have to go to the police station and explain to them what happened to your child, where were you, and why did you abandon the child. All those little careless moves that could pass by in Africa is not going to slide through in Europe. Those are the things you should know. And this is just but a few things I would like to share today. You know, send me questions and related to this or any other question you would like us to talk about, topics you think would be very, very important, you want us to talk about to make our life easy. It's coming to an end. We're coming to the wrap of this video today. And I hope to see you soon. I'm going to make a sequence of this video to continue again because there are still more topics to talk about. Okay, thank you very much, and that'll be it for today. I love you. Don't forget to subscribe and then watch the other videos that I also have on the playlist. Thank you and bye.